So I'm Lars. I'm gonna talk about artificial intelligence with you. And I'm gonna address a very important topic. It is how AI will revolutionize games discovery. We run Oxide AI here in Malmö. We are an AI company, and we work in finance, computational finance, and both on the big side, global analysis of markets, and on the smaller side to actually help normal people to sort out the information overload that we experience. Games discovery is fundamentally broken. And what do I mean by that is that the consumer is totally freed from control, basically, because I don't have any access mechanics. I can't go out and really discover something. Of course, there are some outlets like Steam and so on. They will have and feature sort of supportive discovery functions, but all of them are based on frequency, recommendation, top list, beauty contest models, and so on. So there are, and if I go to a search engine, we are affected even harder. We don't have any objective or unbiased perspective of the products I look at. That's a massive problem as well, and we'll address that. But that's the consumer side. The creator side is about the creators own their product, yes, but they don't own the perception of it. They need to manipulate it, meaning advertising, promotion, social media activities, and so on. That can drive something, but it only drives us by sort of putting it on top of mind of many people. But the creators don't have a description that can be used digitally and efficiently allow mapping between the consumer's interest in something and what they offer. Here we have the user to the left. We have the space of possibilities, all games. We are talking about, it's complicated with statistics on games, but we are looking at 1 million products, maybe. We use search engine, the old world, top. The access mechanism is not so good anymore because it was based on, I type in a few keywords and I hoped for the best. If I were good, because it's really hard to search for something that is more qualitative in nature, not just facts, which years did they publish it, or which version of a certain game do we look at? No, we are exposed to something as users, some kind of magic ranking algorithm. And we are also exposed to that magic algorithm, probably in most cases, also connect to the advertising inventory that programmatic advertising wants to project, meaning that searches are kind of bent in many ways. So I don't see reality. And it's probably, but it reaches straight out into the space. When I get a URL, I get actually a link to somewhere. But that has ended with social media. You know, today, 40% of young people use TikTok as a search engine. I didn't know, but they are. And that is, of course, a closed ecosystem that we are living in because we are not connecting the outside in that approach anymore. And then we have the small online stores. They are also using walled garden approach. So they lock me in. Often this is device-bound ecosystems like Switch, PlayStation, Steam as well, and all the others. And all those, if we take the big ones like Apple, they, of course, drive merchandising, which means exposure is an art, meaning that we are not so interested in enlightening and making people happy anymore, but we are interested in converting to sales. Next access mechanism, which is AI chats. A chat can basically be anything, and it is sort of a transformation of the reality into something a model serve. And it is also brutally exposed to normal distributions, meaning that Discovery is less likely to happen, because when you train a large language model to talk to us, you need to reduce entropy. And entropy is all this nice and exciting variation that describes different qualities. So it's basically back to the old days, I would say, there as well. I'll show you a quick video from a state-of-the-art deep research. This is Perplexity. And we type in a long question or description. I want to find a game that has certain qualities, and I tell it about I like certain types of games with a certain type of style and what I'm interested in. And this is absolutely state-of-the-art. So it now goes out, this chatbot goes out and research on the internet for me. And it comes up with titles here. What happened was it was a simple search. So we were now exposed to double problems. First, we went to a search engine, which itself is slightly biased. And then if we look at what did it use for sources to present those games, yeah, we find that it was PC Mag 10, Perfect 1010 games, and so on. So we are back to the top lists, and then it writes a report for me. So first it searches the web, find a few top lists, and then it makes a very polished view of the world, and I'm back to the same problem. All this ends up in long tail problem. And trust me, I know long tail because we have seen long tails many times in every product area where sort of the internet is involved, meaning that on the fat side, only very, very few products and companies, they will take all the revenue. And the tail is almost infinite, and we don't earn so much money, meaning that we remove creativity, we remove alternatives for people we remove motivation for smaller players because no one is out there. It's hard to get to the tail. And the tail, what we want to do is to lift the tail so that we actually activate the tail. That is what discovery is, and it's good for everyone. We have started a new venture together called Get Me Games, which is an initiative that tries to map this problem in slightly different way, but still extremely scalable way. So we want to take a leap in discoverability. We want to have it fully personalized, meaning that we need to truly flip a table, and that table is the access mechanism. I need to have my own access mechanism that adapts to me, rather than I need to dial up someone else's access mechanism in order to reach it. That's where we talk about agent AI. We want to give full control and automation for the consumer, the creator side, the developer of games, the publisher of games. We want them to take the full ownership of their computable description of the world, what they have created. So they own that, because that is the source of truth. We need much more data, actually. And the problem is with all AI is that when we come to qualitative things like experiencing a game, there is no data. I can find the date when they were published, which version, and so on. But in order to describe it qualitatively, the experience, I need to play the game. Because it's like wine tasting. I have a different palette. We can't read about that in Wikipedia. If I ask someone for travel advice because I'm going to go to a location and I ask my friend, I don't want them to pick up the phone and ask ChatGPT about that travel location and then tell me. That's meaningless. So we need more structured data, different form. And we also need the creator to fully control and own this data. So we have a process that we have sort of proposed and played around with, meaning that the creator can describe their games in detail, what they intended with the game. And for that, it's hard to work on structured data. So the principle here must be that AI can support it and that we can't manipulate the system like that. The originator of the product should own the data that is the source of truth. Then it can be complemented with other data as well. We spend a lot of time on curating or working on the game itself, but we could spend a little bit more time on actually making sure that our game get a description structured so people can find it. On the consumer side, it's different. The consumer side can get the access mechanics, agents, personal agents, AI agents that go out, search for me, find what I like, and I can tell the agent, you are doing right or you are doing wrong. So we can modify the agent towards more optimal behavior. Feedback is also, of course, part of the package, because if we don't have the feedback, we cannot refine. By having this type of data structures that we are talking about, which we can support with AI to generate, we can do a much better mapping. We have the consumer on the left side, and we have the systems, whatever those systems are. They can be mixtures of internet and so on, and the human process data, curated data. And that forms this mapping much, much more powerfully. And we can sort of get to a level of discovery that's a huge leap above what we have today. This is happening, and we are working on actually doing this. So I switch over to my mobile. So I start up Get Me Games. This one is not endless scrolling. It's more like high precision representation instead, because it actually knows me. And it looking at sort of, it knows me already better because it has seen what I've done in the past. And I have different operations. This is my flow of sort of recommendations, or where the agents find things. And the agents down here, they find, I have sort of a number of default agents. So if I click agents here, I can see that we have these agents, a number of that was injected in the system that are more generic, upcoming events, innovation and stuff. So I get going. I can also add an agent. So we do this quick way because my time is running up. I'll have a description. I can set things like complexity and so on if I want, or I can just describe it. When I click create, and we just choose, because it now rewrites it to see if I'm interested in another presentation of it. Now I have created an agent. This will research 24/7 my interests. If I go back now, I see on top of this list, I have example agent 1. That was the one I created. So we go back to my flow, and suddenly I find that it started to work now for me already. And now I can start, if I want to teach it, or I can look a little bit deeper into, because here we have the soft parameters it was actually looking at on a few axes. So I can even start drilling into, okay, what's this, what that? Let me add another agent, because I have a party coming up, then I want platform switch. We've created the agent, we go back to the flow. And now we got party games. It doesn't know me so well yet, but it will. And then it will start modifying its agent towards what I'm interested in, but also what happens in my flow now, because I can get sort of offers here, or I can see social, we have some jamboree party coming up and so on. So now it starts to adapt the environment a little bit bigger around that. That's all for me. Thank you very much.